Hi, welcome to this week's edition of Blues Talk. Again, John, Dave, and myself are going to review our very poor performance last weekend against the Dragons. Look back at all the other Pro 12 games, and of course, look forward to the Six Nations, which is starting this weekend. So, boys, very disappointing over in the Dragons. 10 points, defeat, no bonus point.
Oh, sickening. I thought it was our chance to get a bit of dry air between us and the rest of the table, and as it panned out, it would have been, because Connacht did us a favour by beating the Scarlets. Cardiff did us a favour by beating Edinburgh, and we would have, even a losing bonus point would have put us top of the table, but we couldn't even manage that at the end of the day. And it wasn't as if we played dreadfully, certainly not in the first half anyway. It was a dreadful weather. The handling was quite good actually by both sides, considering the old cliche, the Dragons possibly wanted it more. Home advantage maybe swung it for them. I don't know. We did a few stupid headless things in the second half.
And the other old cliche: take your bleeding points.
Yeah, well, that's true. Crap is a bit of a stretch, but we certainly did plenty of crap things within, especially the second half.
They played us like a piano,
like an old fiddle.
We couldn't actually break their line.
Well, that's something.
They soaked, and then they just took the ball off us. We couldn't maul the ball for peanuts, and we'll come to that later. Guys were being turned over. Guys were having the ball ripped off them. We looked pretty much as clueless as we did the previous week. The only thing is, it's one thing to look clueless against Wasps in a European match. It's quite another thing to look completely clueless against Dragons.
It was a very weakened team. Like, there was a lot of young kids in the team. But on the other side, hand, there was a lot of experience, and it was the experienced ones that kind of didn't. Well, like McFadden, that was scandalous what he did there. Do you know what I mean?
Stupid, alright.
And if he doesn't he was only back from suspension, and he's going to get possibly get another one for that.
Well, you look at it wasn't as inexperienced as you think. Second half, we started the second half. We had Madigan at out half. We had our first choice centre partnership. We had McFadden on one wing. Okay, we had young Byrne on the other wing. But we also had Zane Kirshner at fullback. Yeah. That is, there's
not a bad backline.
That's not a bad backline, and our pack, until the changes came in, I thought was strong enough.
When I saw
it was just it looked the same as it did against Wasps. It was penny ball again.
Well, when I saw Triggs named to start, I thought, hey, we're off to a good start here, and he didn't play that bad while he was on either. And he was on the whole game actually, wasn't he? Played the 80.
But any time that they ran at us, it was like knife through butter. They could, if they put their mind to it and wanted to attack, they could get through our defence at will, really.
Well, the two big gripes I would have is the obvious one that we've been whittering on about the whole season of the maul and the maul defence. And the other thing is that we seem incapable of getting over the line from 5 yards, where back in the good old days of 2012, it seemed like an inevitability when we got pace into our rucking, and we got, it just seemed like we're going to get over. I never get that feeling watching Leinster anymore. We can get up to the 5 metre line. We can't seem to get over the try line for whatever reason.
Notwithstanding the fact that one of them is extraordinary. In the first half we had 3 academy guys in the back line, right? And there's a lot of calls for ringrose even now to go back into the Iron squad now that Luke Fitzgerald is out. I don't know if that's the right idea, but you did have 2 academy guys there. But second half we had like Ian Madigan there, whose speciality is in breaking the gain line, and we still couldn't do it. Yeah. We scored 3 points in the second half. 3 points.
It's a little bit better than the week before.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, but some might say that Wasps are a smidge better than Dragons.
We're going in the right direction, Dave.
We certainly are. Last year we got a losing bonus point. This year we didn't even manage that. Not necessarily to immediately comparable things, but a losing bonus point would have put us, as you mentioned earlier before we came on air. You said a losing bonus point would have put us top of the table. We didn't get that. That's an opportunity gone.
And we fecked it away in the last minute of the game as well. Like, we literally gave them a scoring opportunity.
But it was no brains rugby. When you have the ball and you have your bonus point, likelihood is you're not going to, you know what I mean? It took us 79 minutes to get to that position. We didn't look like breaking their line to score a try. We weren't going to do it from our own 22. Secure the ball,
preserve,
and clear it. Instead of trying to run the ball and then throwing a shocking pass at someone's ankles.
Well, also we only stood to gain a point, and by fluting around, we lost a point. Like, you know, okay, if we could have won the game, maybe you could have some justification. But at 79 minutes, it was physically impossible to win the game. The best we could do would have been draw, and we would have needed, converted try to do that. So it means you have to get under the sticks. So 5 points would have been as good as no points, or very little difference between 5 points and no points. So, protect your losing bonus points for, get something out of the night, which we didn't do. But I did think we got stuck in the first half. We were so lucky we didn't have about 3 tries against us at the same time.
Being hearty mullickers is not exactly where Leinster Rugby wants to be,
That's
is
true.
it?
That's true.
And that's where we are. I mean, all the feel good, all the good vibes that were generated over Christmas, they're all gone
Pissed
now.
away, yeah.
They've all been gone now. In 80 minutes where the team looked less interested than the opposition.
And isn't it funny that, where we would have been a few weeks ago, let's say after the Bath match, we would have been looking at these fixtures coming up in the Six Nations window and thinking, there's a handy few points there, there's a handy few. But now we're looking at stuff like Cardiff coming back into a bit of form. Cardiff looked very good against Edinburgh. We're looking at, Munster having trouble putting Zebre away. We're looking at, you just don't feel as, okay, you'd expect to beat Zebre at home, but you don't feel like, we have this. Whereas if we'd have put a marker down in that Dragons game and got a win, the whole world would have looked so much different, despite the Wasps.
But it's all about getting the top 2 positions in the playoffs, and that's now denied us an opportunity, as you said, to go into the lead in the Pro 12.
Yeah.
But as it is, I mean, we are only 1 point behind.
There's not
Scarlets
lost.
and Connacht, who played out a great game. Connacht played superb against the Scarlets. Got their, it was great to see. Nearly a full house down in Galway. They got their bonus point win. It was something that they needed because their season could have disintegrated with a defeat there.
Exactly, they'd had a bit of a couple of setbacks. They'd had a bit of a hardship, if you like, in terms of they'd lost a few on the bounce, but they needed to get a win, and especially getting that win against Scarlets, where a couple of weeks ago they'd had that unfortunate kind of situation with Ronan Loughney and the game going away from them there. To be able to turn that situation back on its head, an unfortunate choice of phrase perhaps, but to be able to turn that situation around against the same opposition is a huge that's worth more than the win. The psychological bonus.
I think
Absolutely.
it's upper shoulder, they call it now, Dave.
Upper shoulder, is it? Yeah. As opposed to the lower shoulder.
Well, they also got Robbie Henshaw back in harness, and he's starting to look very good. So playing 13 as well, which may have significance later on in the conversation. But
Why?
but yeah, I was very impressed with them. Munster I didn't see, but they struggled past Zebre by the sound of it.
Yeah, I watched that one on Twitter. It didn't seem like a
thriller.
A thriller minute stuff kind of thing. I mean,
Well,
12, 16.
They didn't score from the 35th minute.
Zebre are they're proving resolute this year.
Yeah.
You're much better than Treviso.
Treviso are shambles.
Yeah, they're a shambles. I have a feeling that they're going to drop down.
And Ulster played Treviso and got a bonus point,
win.
which maybe doesn't look quite as impressive, but they still had to do it.
Important for Ulster, young Mr. Olding made his comeback, which is a
scored a try,
significant player for them, and potentially for Ireland. Maybe not during the Six Nations, but certainly in the summer.
and they also did it. Oh jeez, would you fancy being him? Would you fancy being his mammy if he's playing against the box?
I wouldn't fancy being anyone's mammy, John.
That's true, but the significant thing as well with that bonus point win for Ulster is that they know Pienaar.
Yeah,
Pienaar is their go-to guy, and he's usually the type of guy that plays every game for them. He's going to be certainly playing during the Six Nations if he's not injured, which I don't think he is. I think he's just rested. So to see them do that with that setup, and I believe Olding moved to out half during the game as well, which another something they're really lacking. I think Ian Humphreys is going to be taking the high road in the summer.
Yeah.
And if
To Leinster, is it?
yeah, if Olding, don't even joke about that. If Olding is looking good as a backup out half, then that's good because they've got Nelson as well and Olding who both filled in with a
Nelson's
plum.
more of a fullback, but he, I mean, in fairness to him,
Yeah.
he made a decent fist of it.
Great game,
you know?
great kicking, great boot. Kicking from hand was excellent. So
I didn't see the Munster match. Darren Sweetenham made his debut. We might have stolen him from the clutch of the Gales. Because he was a talented
Another
minor.
Tomas O'Leary.
Yeah, he was a talented minor. I thought. Funnily enough, I've seen him play more hurling than I have rugby, which is weird. But yeah, he was a good player.
yeah, I didn't. Well, as I said, I didn't see the game. So,
But I mean, there is a malaise over, to a certain extent, over Irish rugby at the moment. It's not all doom and gloom the way it's portrayed sometimes.
Well,
It's just we're troughing.
But like, I mean, last week, if we were to believe everything that was written in the Irish Independent, the entire Munster squad was going to be
leaving.
signed by someone else. And
I never believed the Zebo one, because a lot of the reasoning behind it was, he's going over there because he speaks French. Now, I believe he speaks French the same way as you speak Fijian.
I'm sure he's a little bit better than that. Now, come on, his dad speaks
No, but
French at
that's,
least.
from what I understand, is his level of fluency in French is not.
It's not huge.
It's not all it's proclaimed to be.
It's about Rog
Yeah,
level.
but still, like,
Rog
you
is
know,
fluent.
he is now.
I bet he is now.
but still,
There was a huge
like,
write up on
there,
him
it
in
was
the
there.
Media Olympic this week. Big write up on Rog,
On Rog.
on how he's the star of the future in terms of coaching in the top 14. Anyway.
But you know, again, as you said, though, Dave, there was this, you know, everyone who last to leave Munster or last to leave Irish rugby turn out the lights, and it's not really like that. And you know, they've signed their 3 box office names: Zebo,
Yeah,
Murray,
great.
and Earls. You know, and like, what else can Irish rugby do really except hold on to those players? Like, that's what the IRFU is for, is to keep the players playing in Ireland.
Yeah, and you know, and under control, etc. Unfortunately, we lost a couple.
I think that's. I mean, if actually, there's a question in here on Twitter that kind of plugs into this from James Murphy. He asked, not from James Murphy, from Darren Mulligan, who asks, from a supposed Irish exodus, it's now just a Leinster exodus. Should Mr. Dawson be asked some hard questions? You could argue that.
Mr. Dawson's hands are tied in a lot of
But
these
the other
things,
side of the thing is, the guys who left, the guys who were proposed to be leaving Munster, shall we say, were first choice guys. You know, for Munster and possibly for Ireland. The guys who left Leinster weren't first choice guys for either Leinster or Ireland, and there's a different situation. Those guys had an extra motivation. It wasn't just. Those guys had, like Ian Madigan, for example. If he wants to be an out half, he can't be an out half in Leinster. It's as simple as that. So he had to go.
Oh.
Whereas the issue isn't the same for your Murrays or your Earls or your Zebos.
Agreed. It's just a pity because, you know, previously in previous European campaigns, we've had very strong front rows, especially when we were winning the competition, and you were taking off and bringing on like for like. Tyke Furlong, my opinion, is a better prop. I know we disagreed last week, but you know, okay, let's call them 50-50. They're, you know,
We're still losing.
They're still
prop.
they're there and thereabouts. Mike Ross isn't going to last forever. He might get one more year. So
The
we're
only
going to
member
go
of the
into
squad that was born in the 70s.
we're going to go into a situation where, you know, you've got your, say, the starter, Tyke Furlong, but the guy coming in is going to be a relative novice in one season's time when Rossi goes, which is not very.
It's not ideal.
It's not showing great foresight
No.
for, you know, on Leinster's behalf or even the IRFU's behalf to keep a very strong front row. Like Di Young said, you know, that you needed 4 front line tight head props.
I don't know if you need quite that many, but you certainly need a few. And but you see, the other side of that is if a guy's playing, it's easier to keep a guy who's, you know, getting plenty of minutes, plenty of starts, all that kind of stuff. If a guy isn't, it becomes much harder. And the situation with Ian Madigan's an ambitious fella. I'm sure he wants to start it out half for Leinster. I'm sure he wants to start it out half for Ireland. But he's not going to start it out half for anyone while he's still here.
Yeah.
That's
Not in the next.
Well, not in Leinster, anyway.
not in the foreseeable future. Everything else been equal, and I'm sure it's the same for Marty Moore. He's probably looked around and seen that Tyke Furlong has leapfrogged him in Ireland and Leinster.
But it's slightly different for a prop and an out half. Generally, the out half doesn't come off after after 60 minutes or 50 minutes.
That's true.
Props do, and they'll share the 160 minutes over 2 games between them fairly evenly. But there was a good point raised by Bernard Jackman recently. He said, like, most of the business, say in France, is done pre-Christmas, and it seems as this brinkmanship in Ireland that everything just seems to go down to the wire, and some go through the net, like Marty Moore. Madigan was well flagged because
He had a different circumstance.
but Moore went down to the wire, and he slipped through the net. The three lads in Munster, Murray kind of made it quite clear that he wanted to stay, but certainly Earls was going to the wire, and he stayed in Munster. It shouldn't really go down to that.
It shouldn't. I mean, it went to the wire with Johnny Sexton as well. I mean, he wanted a deal much earlier than eventually it happened. I know for a fact with another Irish international, Leinster player, it was literally the week he was going to sign.
That was O'Brien
a
few years ago,
that the deal was done as late as physically possible.
But isn't it like there was very little fanfare made about him? I know he's had a high injury ratio over the last couple of seasons, but the point remains he's still a class player and he's still relatively young. He re-signed, the lad that wrote in. You have to take credit or give credit to the IRFU / Leinster branch for retaining O'Brien, Heaslip, and bringing back Johnny Sexton.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I mean, to a certain extent, you see, if the situation in Leinster was the same as the situation in Munster, where there were guys, if it was Johnny Sexton leaving and we'll say Luke Fitzgerald or whatever, and they were talked about being leaving, and they were the guys who left rather than Madigan and whatever. If they had a similar profile, but they don't. They weren't nailed on starters who were leaving. Whereas in Munster they were nailed on starters. The guys in Leinster were guys. I have to say, I've always said, like, you have to admire the ambition of someone who wants to play rugby. As a professional rugby player, that's kind of what you have to do. If you want to play, you have to play rugby. I mean, one guy I thought was a great talent, was kind of a bit lost to Irish rugby, was Kieran Lewis. I think he stayed in Leinster maybe 2 years too long. Maybe he should have gone to Munster 2 years earlier, because he was never going to get a start behind Darcy and O'Driscoll. I think he stayed because he thought, well, maybe O'Driscoll will be heading off to Biarritz, or maybe one of those injuries will take one of them out, but it never really happened for him. And I think he stayed in Leinster maybe that bit too long. I thought he was a very talented player who was ultimately, the full benefit of him was lost to Irish rugby by staying.
There's a number of things, right? Firstly, we don't know, and we never will know, what the sequence of events are between the IRFU, the player agents, the players themselves, the foreign clubs, all of those things. David Nucifort, he gets a lot of stick. It may be justified, it may not. He took a lot of stick for going on his holidays, for example. But what Bernard Jackman said actually last night, I think, was, and I only caught a few minutes of it, that in France they do the business before Christmas with people they want to keep.
Yes.
And then after Christmas, they go looking for people, abroad or wherever. And it could well be that the player or the player's agent wants the thing to go a bit longer so they get some offers from France, even if it's only to bump up their value, which is basically what Johnny Sexton was trying to do, and it backfired on him. They called his bluff and he went.
I think it backfired on everyone there.
Yeah. Well, it did. Of course it did. But, when I say they called his bluff, I mean, he got too much money. They couldn't compete with it, whatever way you want to look at it. And it's the IRFU have a budget, I'm sure, on players, and it's like going to an auction for a house or for a car or for whatever. You have a budget there, and if you know how much you're going to pay to keep the guy, and if it goes over that, you have to walk away, because and I don't know what their ceiling was for Ian Madigan, and I don't know what their ceiling. I have a suspicion that maybe they wanted Ian Madigan to go to another province, whether that was south or west or wherever. And Ian Madigan perhaps wanted to stay at Leinster, so maybe there wasn't the budget there for him at Leinster, or as big a budget there to keep him at Leinster as there might have been to go to Munster, and maybe I don't know. It's total speculation.
The other
Same with Marty Moore. They obviously had a.
The other thing to remember about what Bernard Jackman said: there was only one player going to France, and that was the one who we knew was going before Christmas. None of the other players who were or did go were going to France. So it's a different paradigm.
Well, Marty Moore, nobody knows. Maybe the IRFU had a value on him, and it was exceeded by Wasps. Because at the end of the day, you can't just throw any amount of money at a player. You've got to decide how much he's worth to your setup.
Yeah, and as we said last week, he was injured for the World Cup, and he's injured for the Six Nations.
Well, there's that factor as well.
And if you're investing a lot of money into somebody and they're not available for the, let's say, the 10 or 12 fixtures where they've been paid the big bucks to play in.
Well, the reputed figure was something like 300 grand sterling, which is top end money, you know, for the RFU, for a guy who, if you know, if you consider him not in the starting 15, certainly in the Irish 23 perhaps, but not in the would he even be with Furlong and also Nathan White? Would he be in the 23 even if he was fully fit? I don't know.
I would.
Maybe
have
he
him
would.
there. I would have
Maybe
him there,
he
but that would
would.
be a matter of personal choice.
Well,
But
like Nathan
I
White,
can understand why he wouldn't be.
Nathan White's not a spring chicken. He
He
probably,
would get a couple of years. That's
probably
it.
2
Yeah.
years. Yeah, you know.
But that's all he was ever going to be. I mean, he was 29 when he came here, so he was going to be 32 or whatever it was when he qualified. You know. So.
Well, anyway, like the club game is going to take a bit of a break for a little while, and but anyway, we've more viewers
We
questions.
have, yeah. James Murphy asked how huge a loss is John O'Gibbs. Line out Maul is positively amateur regardless of personnel on field, and I have to say I agree with that entirely, 100%.
Oh, yeah, 101.7%.
It's been like that for this season and last season. I mean, there's no escaping it. Leo Cullen was forwards coach last year. He's forwards coach this year. That the maul is his responsibility.
Plus, he was a bloody good mauler himself.
He was a great mauler and a great disruptor of mauls as well.
And he was learning at the knee of John O'Gibbs, if you want to look at it that
and
way.
he has Mike McCarthy as his
another good mauler.
as his voice of the people. So I don't know. It's something that needs work because
we're going to be mauled out of it.
yeah, we are. We are getting mauled out of it. Every single match we're getting mauled out of it. I was watching one of the mauls against Dragons, and we were throwing beef into it. We had Ben Teo came in and Zane Kershaw came in, and I think what we're trying, because the technique is so bad, because it's technically so poor, we're just trying to throw weight on it.
But don't put backs near. Like, they don't know what they're doing.
Yeah. Well, he's the forwards. That's the problem. I think what they're trying to do is overcome our technical deficiencies with weight, but it's not working, and it's
the Warren Gatlin 15-man line-out.
Yeah,
well, can you imagine if Munster circa 2006 appeared to play us? You know, all they'd have to do would be, especially with the laws the way they were, all they'd have to do is just keep kicking the ball upfield, get a line out and just maul us to death.
Ultimately, that's what cost us the game last weekend. We had points available to take at the post. We didn't. We went up the line, and the psychological advantage that the opposition get if you don't convert,
keep you out,
if they've kept you out and denied you 7 points, that's a 14-point turnaround in the defence's mind.
Mm-hmm. I mean, to a certain extent, the only way you can stop a maul is literally to stop it legally. You can't do anything else. If a maul is
force it into touch.
If a maul is in any way competent, there's very little you can do about it. And I've always had a problem with the maul because I think it's
against the spirit of the
it's
game.
against the spirit of the game because there's no contest for the ball. But anyway, at least do it right. You know, it's there. It's part of the game, so do it right.
If you do it cleverly and you get it close enough to the touchline, you can use its own momentum to get it into touch.
But we're not doing that anyway.
We're not.
The only line opposition mauls are crossing is our try line these days.
Afraid so.
We have another question in, and this kind of begins to lead us gently into our next section. We have a question from Tap Tackle who asks about the Irish under-20 players to look out for this year. And we had a further tweet on that saying that from a Leinster point of view, it's Andrew Porter, James Ryan and Max Deegan. And James Ryan is a massive, huge beast of a man.
6'8".
Yeah, for
108 kilos.
19 years of age. Huge.
Yeah.
Andrew Porter is that most unusual of things. He's a bit like a talking fish. He's a competent rugby player from St Andrews.
I'd like to distance myself from that comment.
They're even rarer than heterosexuals from CUS. And he also mentions Max Deegan, who is a good player. I can't say he's particularly ever stood out for me, but that's...
Well, I haven't seen a whole heap of him now.
Porter, in fairness, came on last in the under-20s, the Junior World Championship last year.
We
looked really,
we got
really
off
good.
to a great start last year. We got a great victory against France, and then the wheels seemed to fall off the wagon.
Yeah, they fell off. In fact, we were at that game against England.
Good
that's
game,
where it was a great game.
Yeah.
That's where it all went tits up for our
Have
Six Nations
have they
hopes.
moved the under-20 matches back to...
They're all in
Down in
Donnybrook.
Donnybrook, yeah.
And the women's Six Nations matches are in Donnybrook. The feast of rugby.
I think there's a feeling that, you know, great and all as Ashburn is, and great and all as
you won't get as many
Barry
bodies.
Park is. A, you don't get as many bodies, and B, this time of year, that pitch into Barry Park is not conducive to
It
the
is a
development of
quag-
young talent.
quagmire, yeah.
Yeah, whereas at least in Donnybrook,
It always,
You're
got a good
guaranteed
track.
a
it always
surface.
seems to be raining every time those matches
Oh
were,
yeah,
were
well,
televised.
it's always weird how that is the case, but at least in Donnybrook you get a dry track with the 4G pitch. So
Well, we're going to
But
see
is there
up
not
close.
a case of them moving them, maybe, playing Thomond or playing Ravenhill, and actually giving, rather than having the whole thing condensed in Dublin?
Well, the problem with Ravenhill or Thomond is that on certain weeks there's going to be
Matches.
matches
Well, there
for
could be matches in Donnybrook. There's two club teams play there.
yeah, I
they have
suppose.
another 4G pitch now
But-
beside so they can play.
Yeah, and also it doesn't rip up as much from scrummaging as
Oh, that's true.
an ordinary pitch would. But the pro team are not playing in Donnybrook. So like that's, I suppose, if you want to look at it that from that point of view, it's a serious. If that pitch was torn up in Ravenhill, for example, and Ulster had to run out against whoever, and in fact, coincidentally, Ulster I think have Clatteragh home games starting this weekend where they catch up with their Dragons postponed fixture, and then they've 2 more at home. So yeah, Ravenhill especially would not be a good choice this year.
No.
But I think we might all toddle along, will we, on Friday night?
I'll be there.
And see them
anyway,
up
yeah,
close.
yeah.
So it's I'm looking forward to seeing. Apparently, both props and that guy in the second row
Apparently it's the
are
biggest,
monsters.
It's a huge
We've-
Irish
we've
pack.
got a huge
Unusually
pack.
huge Irish pack.
So
It'll be
I'm looking forward to seeing us, kick some Welsh butt, because they usually have some big lads in them in England.
Yeah,
And France,
the
actually.
Welsh have put an awful lot of importance on their under 20s, on their development pathway now, which I suppose is the same as every country.
It's
but-
amazing the way it has changed, though, say, from 10 or 15 years ago, where it was the A's, or the Wolfhounds as they call it now. And there was always the A match the day before the international. Now they've been
The
more or less
under-20s,
scrapped, and it's the under 20s that have taken preeminence. And even you see like fellas from the Leinster team been drawn out and brought into the 20s.
Yeah, well, I suppose there's a lot more pro rugby now. So guys who would have been A qualified are now playing Zebra in the RDS, or they're playing, So whereas 15 years ago, that all we had was the Interpros.
It's interesting in a way. I think it's interesting that the only Ireland and England are the only Six Nations countries who have their A team as their designated second 15. Wales, Scotland, and France all have
under
their
20s.
under 20s designated as their second 15. And I think the reason is that Ireland and England are the two countries least likely to lose players to other teams. We don't need to disqualify them. Whereas Wales is likely to lose.
Well.
Wales could be or Scotland could lose players to England. France loses players to Italy, Romania, Georgia, or other kind of places where they originally came from, like the South Sea Islands. So they want to disqualify players as early as possible. Ourselves in England don't have that pressing need. I think that might be
an
one
interesting
spoke to
theory.
that wheel.
Maybe
No, it's
they
not the
don't-
whole wheel.
Maybe
we
they don't have
spoke to
someone
it.
as Machiavellian as you in Lansdowne Road, Dave.
What do you think about that? Having watched Irish rugby for the last 4 to 5 years, what do you think your answer to that question is, Jason? I'm nothing but an amateur compared to these boys.
Well, anyway, I suppose we should turn our attention to these big boys, the national team. We kick off on Sunday.
Yeah.
We heard some bad news today. Luke Fitz is, after receiving another bad injury, he's out for 6 to 8 weeks.
Was that not out on Saturday?
It was on. It was rumored that he was going to be out. He was out on Saturday. On Sunday, actually, it was in the Times. It was rumored for how long. It was confirmed for how long. Today.
Oh, right, okay.
The official confirmation came down today. It's very unfortunate for the chap.
Oh.
He was in good form as well.
Such a good
had been in
guy
good
too.
form during the
Yeah.
World
He was
Cup.
probably one of the better players in the World Cup.
Yeah, himself. It's funny enough. Two guys whose career always seemed to parallel one another. Himself and Keith Earls were the
Earls,
two
yeah.
guys who came out of the World Cup with their reputations intact. Yeah, it's very, very unfortunate. Fortunately for Ireland, we actually aren't all that skinny in terms of guys in any of his positions.
No.
So it's a huge personal blow for him, and it's a blow for anyone who kind of likes the guy the way that I'm sure we all do. But for Ireland, it's next.
We're a second row injury away from
Yeah.
extreme meltdown, though.
Well, he's not a second row.
No, but you're saying we're okay in his position.
Oh yeah.
We're not okay in others. It's a funny tournament. I suppose after a World Cup, it's always a bit of a funny Six Nations, but this one especially is so hard to call. You've got strange anomalies like Scotland actually getting it together for once in their lives. You've got England in a bit of rebuilding phase with a new coach. Same with France. You've got Wales looking as the most settled team in the championship, and ourselves kind of, where are we? We don't really know where we are. If we're going to play like we played in our last competitive outing as Ireland, then we're rogered. However, we've got Joe Schmidt there.
We've such a tough start,
and we've got a massively tough start.
I think this game will decide the championship.
Well, we've got Wales, then we've got France, and then England. So obviously,
how hard does it get?
You're pushing balls up the hill there.
Yeah.
But if you do happen to get up there, there's a nice
coast
easy,
down the other side.
Yeah.
I'll put it this way: if we go undefeated for 3 games, there is no person on earth who plays for Scotland or Italy who's going to deny us a Grand Slam. There isn't.
Crazy, mate.
However,
If shows up.
However,
getting the outside flogging calendars.
What I would say is, if Wales win this game, I think they'll go on and win the championship. If we win this game, I'm not quite so convinced, because it's an away win for Wales, I suppose, and we've got England and France away. So until we see the whites of their eyes in Twickenham, even if we got the first 2, I wouldn't be too confident on
the thing about this,
on anything really.
The thing about the Six Nations is there's so much that's unknown. We have England and France, if you like, the 2 biggest powers.
Two new coaches.
2 new coaches. 2 countries struggling with their rugby identity at this point in time. I think it's fair to say they don't know whether they're fish or good red flesh. France are without Fofana. They're one genuinely creative, incisive line breaker.
Plus,
Scotland, who looked like they were, as you were saying, getting their shit together during the World Cup. But you look at Scotland are essentially Glasgow plus.
Yeah.
And you look at how Glasgow are going this year. It's not going well. There's guys looking very, very tired, looking a bit jaded with just with rugby in general. So there's a lot of questions out there for Ireland, obviously, which is our primary concern. The question is one of selection, and 2, how are we going to play? Because
in our front 5, it's last man standing to some degree.
That's the weakest area of our squad.
It is, but it's also there's also strength there. I mean, it is the weakest, but I mean, it's not. It's shallow, but I mean, you're looking at a situation where you've got Ryan, you've got Toner, you've got McCarthy.
That's it. You've just enough.
Jesus, that is it. Yeah.
Ulton Delan is the 4th prop,
Yeah.
and I'm not knocking Ulton Delan. He's a great young talent, but if he's the man you're putting in as your 4th prop, there's nobody else fit.
Yeah.
Dan Tui's injured. Paul O'Connell's gone to pastures new. There's very little. There's very little choice.
I'd say now, whatever about Paul O'Connell's pastures new. Even if he wasn't pastures new and we were that skinny, he'd turn up. But he's not even available.
He's
anyway,
injured.
so yeah. So no, that is the one area of depth. The question is, we've gone into the Six Nations. The last 2 years, people have been, Joe Schmidt won 3 European trophies playing top of the ground rugby, playing a very joyful brand of rugby, shall we say, a very expensive brand. And then Six Nations, he went in and didn't. But still won 2 championships.
He's won a trophy every one of the past 6 or 7 years, and in fact he won 2 one year because he didn't win the big one.
The thing is,
if he carries that on this season, that'll be his biggest achievement.
If he wins the Six Nations, if he wins the Six Nations, that'll make him the greatest coach in the history of European rugby. There's no question of it. No other. I know you think that sharing it is worth something, but I don't. No team has won 3 Six Nations in a row. It's never happened. No team is in the history of the 6, 5, or home nations. It's never been done 3 in a row without somebody sharing it.
But sharing, the definition of sharing it, all it means is that it would be decided on points by today's.
Yeah.
So
but it wasn't, so they didn't. They didn't play Italy in those days either. So
if you apply today's rules to previous Six Nations pre 1988, you'd find that somebody must have won 3 in a row.
But they didn't.
didn't.
So if Ireland do it, it'll be the first time it's ever happened. It'll make Joe Schmidt the greatest coach in the history of European rugby, undisputably, because nobody's ever done that before. Add to that his Heineken Cup experience. The question is, how's he going to go about doing it?
The prize is there.
Yeah. I've always thought of Joe Schmidt's time in charge of Ireland has been very similar to Dave Brailsford's time in charge of British cycling, in that everyone's on drugs. No, in that what he's done is he's taken advantage, added 1% here, 1% here, added up all these little 1% gains. You know, if we make 10 tackles more per match, if we make 1 turnover more per game, if we slow down their ball 10% over the course of the game, this thing will turn around for us. And if you add all them together, you get a win. And I think he's done that for 2 years. Now the question is, can he continue to do that? I don't know. Will he have something new in his pocket? I'm sure he will, because he always does.
Well,
But if you look at the injuries, you got Keane Healy's out.
just about to say that, yeah.
Ross is out.
Mike Ross.
Marty Moore is out. We went through the list of 3 or 4 second rows that are out. Like Donegal Ryan hasn't played very little.
Peter
rugby this
O'Mahony.
year. O'Mahony is out, exactly. You know.
That's just the pack.
Yeah.
You know, well, in fairness, that's where all the real bad injuries are. But like that front 5, you know, we're as we've said, we're down to bare bones in the second row. We've got 2 of our first, two first choice props basically over the last few years are out. So and our, you know, a guy who's a real leader for us, Peter O'Mahony.
But there's also strength there as well. I mean, you look at Jack
yes, there
McGrath,
is,
you look at
but
Tyke Furlong. I mean, Nathan White is fully assimilated into the Irish camp now.
Yeah.
James Cronin has come on and absolute leaps and bounds for Munster.
yeah,
CJ Stander is Irish
Well,
qualified now.
I suppose it is the new generation has just you know.
There's another
Like, you know, when Smith took over the team, you had Darcy and O'Driscoll there, Paul O'Connell.
yeah.
You know, and you could add 3 or 4 more names, even Keane Healy and Mike Ross, who are injured and out. But Ross is probably not going to be there this time next year, or may not be there this time next year. We don't know. But you know, there's a whole new generation coming through, and we just have to see how they get on. But one thing that struck me is that there's still some good. You mentioned his name. Sandler's come in, and Ruddock is playing great stuff for them for Leinster at the moment. You wonder if Sander has done enough to get in. I suspect he'll be on the bench.
Here's the thing. You've got, you know, one of them on for 50, 60 minutes. And the other fella sitting on the bench bulling to get on. You know?
Well, for me, Ruddock is the man for the rucks, the mauls, the tackling. Stander's good tackler too. Stander's, I think, a better carrier, undoubtedly.
Very
I mean, that's his big party trick, you know. And what are we short in the front 5?
Ball carriers.
Ball carriers. So, you know, you've no Keane Healy, big ball carrier. Thankfully, we've Sean O'Brien, but there's not too many others. Devin Toner isn't a massive ball carrier. Mike McCarthy isn't a massive ball carrier. Donegal Ryan isn't a massive ball carrier. None of them really. I'd say Furlong could carry a decent bit of ball.
I think Mike McCarthy's a better ball carrier than you're giving him credit for.
It wouldn't be as big. I mean, he's a man for hitting the rucks and doing all the dirty stuff as well. You know, that's his, and pushing in the scrum. That's his bread and butter. He's like, that's the kind of guy he is. He's a real enforcer type block who can.
I mean, you think about it, for all his other benefits. I mean, O'Connell wasn't an explosive ball carrier at all, really.
No, but he did a lot of carrying.
As the
He
years
improved,
went on.
yeah. I mean, but there was certainly an element of, you know, he took ball that he shouldn't have taken, and then he kind of, as he matured into the role, he kind of realised, I have to get myself out of first receiver kind of thing, because he kept finding himself there. So I mean, I don't think we're losing all that much there. I do think that what you're saying about Keane Healy being gone as a ball carrier is valid. But you know, the question is, would Keane Healy have started? I mean, Jack McGrath has seemed to have the nap hand in
that could be
recent
true,
years.
Dave, but he would have
but he
been
is
on the
there.
bench, and he
But
would
you've
have
got-
been.
He
As
would
you
have been
mentioned,
coming
like,
on to
if
tear
you
it up.
have
Yeah.
Keane Healy come, even whether he starts or whether he comes on with 30 minutes to go, you know he's going to be. He's going to get the ball in his hand.
There are options there, but I mean, Ulton Delan is a guy that he's kind of gone under the radar. You watch him play, right, and you watch Ian Henderson play. There's bugger all difference between them.
Really?
Between the way they play, they're both absolutely hard as nails.
They're
Tough
definitely
motherfuckers.
I don't know if I
you
put
know?
him up with Ian Henderson
Oh,
quite
he's hard.
yet.
He's hard.
But,
Well, he's not on that. He's not that experienced. He's not as experienced as Henderson yet. But
Yeah.
he's tough. Jeez, he's hard, that lad.
He can't be too much younger. Henderson's only a lad, so he's probably not that much younger.
And then
than
there's younger guys coming into it as well. Like you've got, you know, Van der Flyer is involved, and then, you know, finally all our backs seem to be fit.
Yeah.
Enough, except for Luke, unfortunately.
But you have to say Wales have a really settled team. I mean, they're missing a couple, but you know, they're missing Reece Webb. They're probably going to be missing Liam Williams. They're definitely missing Halfpenny. But outside of that, there's not a massive amount of.
Dean Williams played for Scarlets
He did.
last
He
weekend.
did.
Yeah, and
He did.
absolutely mullocked Matt Healy out of it on one occasion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know, they're very
In their
settled.
Tequila Sunrise jersey.
They're the most settled team in the Six Nations by far. They've got a coach who's the longest coach in the Northern Hemisphere. They've got a really settled game plan. They've got the players all know each other. It's they're basically
Club Wales.
It's Club Wales, and the only advantage we have, well, two advantages. One is that we're at home, and two is that Wales
Slightly better.
traditionally start a bit slow.
It's funny, I was just looking at some of
I
the
don't
stats.
think
In the last, say, 10 years, we've won 5, they've won 5. You know what I mean? It's so...
Mhm.
Oh, it's
It's
nip
so,
and tuck.
it really has been. And
It'll be interesting to see what happens. I mean, Wales have traditionally gone with the battle of the giants in the centre.
Mhm.
We can do that this year for the first time in a long time. We can match anyone for size in the centre.
we could do with a few of their backs in the second row. To be honest with you,
It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see. I mean, because they have traditionally a very big backline.
well, I suppose that brings. I think is there a question about it?
There
About
isn't.
who he's going to play in?
But it's a very good question. Who is he going to play? I mean, is he going to go with McCluskey? Is he too young, too callow at this stage?
I think he's going to stick with the
Payne and Henshaw.
Payne and
Yeah.
Henshaw.
from the World Cup.
Possibly.
I don't know. I have a feeling. One thing is that international coaches in Ireland decide a lot of the pre-Six Nations selections. They give guys a run in their position. And who's been playing 15 in Ulster?
Mm-hmm.
Who's been playing 13 in Connacht? I'd say there's certainly a chance that he's going to bring in those two. I mean, it's what everybody. It's what the people want. What's the PRL slogan?
Yeah.
It's what the public want.
Well, what's Sid Vicious' slogan?
Which one?
The man on the street. I've met the man on the
He's a
street. He's a cunt.
Well, I don't know if that was Sid Vicious.
He was,
it? Oh, okay. Anyway, Henshaw
Henderson.
No,
Henshaw.
no,
Payne.
no. The other lad, McCluskey.
McCluskey, hey. Let's play Ireland Squad Bingo.
McCluskey at 12 and Henshaw at 13
Cue that, ladies. The props.
is everybody's dream team. I mean, since McCluskey has come through in the last year at Ulster, everybody has been saying, well, I certainly have. Imagine him and Henshaw in the centre. It'll be, they've both got good skills. They both got everything, in fact, that you could want in a centre partnership. But
Is this the game for him, though?
Yeah.
There-
Is this
well,
because-
that's
Like
the
we
question.
uncapped and coming into that.
That's the question. Going up against Jamie Robertson and Jonathan Davies. To be honest, well, only Joe will know, but to be honest, I think it might be.
could be one of those things he springs.
Conservative, people who Joe Schmidt might number himself among, we'll see in a couple of days, would say it's not the game. It's do it against Italy or Scotland. Get the guy a game. But I don't know. I would do that, and I would give Jared Payne a run at 15 at least to start.
See, the other side of that is, here's the thing. Jared Payne at 15 would give him an opportunity to play. Actually, the guy who has been Ulster's best back over the last couple of weeks, last couple of months, and it's not Stuart McCluskey. It's Luke Marshall. Might give him an opportunity to play him at 13,
Who
alongside
knows?
Henshaw or McCluskey. If he plays him alongside Henshaw, they do at least have the benefit of a certain amount of experience. So there are options there for him. Talented options.
Well, if he plays, I don't know. I think it might be a bit soon because, have we even decided whether Marshall is a 12 or a 13? I think he was always a 12, but he's become a 13 since McCluskey has come along. So I don't know. Will he go with him and Henshaw have 0 game time together? I don't know. I know that McCluskey and Henshaw also have 0 game time together, but
For all we know, they could be rooming together at this stage.
yeah, but
It's difficult to know, because
Joe likes the kicking option at 13.
if Leinster have provided so many to the squad, but some of their selections, certainly on our form this year, okay, we went 7 games unbeaten in the league, but some of those performances were scrappy at best. Whereas Ulster have kind of been playing the better rugby, certainly at a European level, and maybe not quite so much in the
against
12.
Saracens.
Well, they beat Toulouse twice.
There's
I
guys
know.
there. You could say, well, does Rob Kearney deserve to be in the squad? And you can have an argument about that. But the thing is, apart from Jared Payne, who else is there? Tierno Halloran. There's no other live option. We're okay on wings. So to a certain extent, you can say that there's a lot of Leinster guys in the squad, but to a certain extent, that's because where else are you going to look for guys?
Well, Rob Kearney, you could say, is better than Jared Payne in the air. However, Jared Payne coming into the line in between Henshaw and Stuart McCluskey is a bit mouth-watering, I would have said, in attack. And he's no slouch in defence either.
No,
Payne.
no.
So
My point is in general is these guys being in the squad rather than I'm not necessarily personally I wouldn't pick Rob in the team. I just don't think he's playing well. It's as simple as that. And I would pick Jared Payne at fullback. But at the same time, I don't think Jared Payne is going to play appreciably different in style than Rob has played for the last 2 years. Because I think certainly when the ball has been run back, the last thing Joe wants to do is lose the ball. So what you do is when you're a fullback and you get that ball, you find a pod in your head for it.
But it's predictable, Dave.
It is predictable, and it happens every time. But what's also predictable is that
Percentage rugby.
you get the ball back, and it's all about the percentages.
We
Or it
shall
has
see.
been the last 2 years.
I know,
Whether
but-
that will continue
But
to
then,
be the case.
but
I don't know.
subsequently, then the scrum half kicks it up in the air, which is, well, contestable. It is 50-50 whether it comes back on your own side or not.
Yeah, would you see? That's you're back to the old Dan Carter good ball, bad ball thing. If you got bad ball out of the back of a ruck or a scrum or something.
But we've generally been kicking regardless of whether it's
Yeah,
a
well,
good
that's
ball
true,
or
yeah.
The other side of that is if you've got any ball that isn't quick ball, any kind of ball that isn't quick ball, and your wings are Andrew Trimble / Tommy Bogue / Dave Carney / Keith Earls, who are all, or even Luke, who are all absolutely superb in the air. Then what you have, if the kick is right, which it generally is with Conor Murray, it's not a 50-50 ball.
Yeah, and you might force something out, but even if you don't get the
Yeah.
ball,
One thing I'm interested to see how we survive without if we change our style in any way with Les Kiss not there. We haven't got
it's another big factor.
we haven't got
A
Andy
defence
Farrell's Andy Farrell hasn't joined the team yet.
Mhm.
Maybe some of the Munster lads can
Relay
impart
the
some of his-
messages.
some of his knowledge.
Coaching
But-
by proxy.
I wouldn't
he
know if there's a caravan with Wigan Casino stickers. I was in Wigan Casino, 1976 stickers parked next to Carton House. Like,
Exactly, yeah.
just wondering.
Yeah.
If you can hear the sound of Gloria Jones coming from the caravan, then you just know it's Andy Farrell there
I think Andy Farrell might have been conceived in 1976. Dave, never mind.
at the back of Wigan Casino. Is that what you're saying?
I don't know.
No, but I'd be interested to
That
see
would be tainted love.
if our defensive system changes in any of with no Les Kiss there, because I believe that Joe Schmidt has taken the responsibility.
Of course he has, yeah. That's what he... Remember when Kurt McQuilkin left Leinster and Joe Schmidt came in and he was attack coach, backs coach, head coach,
Skills
defence coach, everything coach, and we were going, oh, this is not going to work out, lads. Worked out all right. So I'm hoping that Joe can do something similar. But having said it, Les Kiss, he's there 2008.
Yeah,
He was the
a
coach.
long old tenure.
Yeah, so maybe a bit of a new coach bounce, even though he's not a new coach.
I'd say
having
to be
Schmidt
very
on
little. I'd
defence,
say he'll probably just tweak what Les has done compared to account for changes in the game and stuff. I don't think there'll be all that much of a difference.
Well, isn't that a thing though? The way we've been, the way Argentina put us to the sword because of our narrow, drifty kind of defence.
You wonder if
we're
they
not
address
gonna,
that.
if we're not going to change much, is George North going to be flying out past us with some long missed passes, or even worse, some long passes that aren't missed
Yeah.
passes,
But
Long-
what the RGs were doing was they were just every time they came to contact, they were just passing
shoveling it out. Yeah.
And the other side of that is, we missed an awful lot of tackles that day. We hit half our tackles, and it's a slightly different game. I'm not saying they wouldn't have won still,
Yeah.
but we hit half the tackles we
They
missed or fell off.
They were nearly passing the ball before there was as they were going to make the tackle, they were passing the ball rather than taking the contact and setting up. Predictable European rugby's taking the ball into contact like Rob Carney and setting up the ruck, and off we go again. Argentina were actually being far more dynamic and were trying to get the ball out of contact immediately. So regardless of whether you're putting the tackle in or not.
Is Warren Gatlin's Wales going to take a leaf out of the Argentinian book?
Who knows?
You'd have to think that they're fairly dyed in the wool with their
Warren,
systems.
Warren Gatlin's teams are I mean, they're good teams and they play it very, very well, but they do have a style of playing that's fairly based on huge blokes running over the top of small blokes and then basically chop tackle. That's their...
If you remember that match 2 years ago, we mullered them in the mall. We took them on up front and we stuffed them.
Won't be doing that anytime
Now, I don't
soon.
think this pack, the pack that's available for Smith to select from, regardless of what combo he selects, I don't think they have the muscle to do it to them.
No, and if your front five are not dominating, your backs are not going to get a look at. You can have the fanciest back moves in the history of the world. You're not going to get to use them if your front five are being eaten.
I don't know. The Welsh pack isn't as frightful as that. I mean, it's
funny.
Very good back row, but
heard-
the front five is weakened by the fact that the front row isn't all that.
Yeah, I heard
Well,
somebody
that
say,
is-
and they've got Samson Lee in the front.
Yeah.
Do you
Wow.
not see him playing every every weekend in the Pro 12?
Samson Lee only impresses people who've never seen Samson Lee.
Samson Lee impresses people who are used to Adam Jones, is what you'd say. And Gethin Jenkins' best days are definitely what's his name? Gethin Dechter.
I don't see the Welsh. They have a great second row. I mean, they're very good second
Yeah.
row. Alwyn Jones is a super player and a brilliant leader.
Yeah,
But he's let down by that, which is. I mean, he has to push that front row.
it'll be him in
It's a hard
Churches
job, yeah.
probably
Yeah.
starting.
their
I would
back row,
imagine.
really, that is.
That's their strength.
That's their strength.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if they have Lydia fit, and well, even if they don't, they've got Warburton and Tipperich. I mean, it's a different type of game they're going to play.
It's a huge battle, the back rows, because we traditionally say that we have a strong back row, and there's guys there who battle one. I mean, how many times have those players played against those players?
Yeah.
Over the course of their careers, it must be coming up on
Lots.
hundreds at this stage. So it's there's a certain amount of knowledge there for both sides. So you could get a situation where the back rows cancel themselves out. I mean, our back row last year when we lost to Wales, our back row was on top offensively, but theirs was on top defensively. Which it sounds odd, but I mean we were quite able to make line breaks last year, if you recall. We just could not get over their line. They defended like
Sounds familiar.
they defended like absolute heroes that day.
Also, we were Wayne Barnes didn't like Jack McGrath being able to push their tight head all over the park.
Yeah.
I don't know why he didn't like it, but it seemed that every time we were driving them back on the loose head side, it seemed to break some unwritten law in his head.
The thing about Wayne Barnes is Wayne Barnes gets an idea about a scrum into his head, right? And all you can do is make a substitution. That's all you can do.
A lot of refs are like that, I think, Dave. A lot
Wayne-
of French refs are like that.
Wayne Barnes in particular is, I mean, all you can really do is make a substitution because he's not going to lose that idea. It's simple as that. And Joe Schmidt has had plenty of experience of that. Remember the game against Claremont in the Aviva? I mean, they were loosening their bind to let Mike Ross fall through on the bind, and he was giving them penalty out. And we were telling them what we were doing, and he was still giving them the penalty. So they had to whip Mike Ross off in the end just to show willing, as it were.
Well, I mean, when we turn our attention to some of the other teams, like England have gone for the roast beef again with picking, someone like Hartley as their captain.
Yeah, that's a real hand grenade that could go off in any direction, good or bad for them. He's easy enough to wind up, and there are plenty of wily players in France, Wales, even Ireland that can exploit that. If it works, making a hothead the captain can work. I mean, he's captain in Northampton quite a bit. But it can backfire,
Well,
and when it backfires, it spectacularly
he
backfires.
shoots himself. He's missed out on Lions tours. He's missed
out
out
on
on
a lot
World
of stuff.
Cups.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember a few years ago, he missed like 2 years of his professional career from bands.
He's the other side of that is if he does keep his head, he's a brilliant player.
Very good player.
He is one of the best hookers in world rugby when he's on the pitch. The problem is keeping him on the pitch. Maybe that's what Eddie Jones is trying to do by giving him the captaincy, because he's a good he is a relatively good captain for Northampton. He doesn't. He seems to have slowed down his rate of departure in recent years. So maybe that's the thinking behind him. I'm still not sure that he made a squad he selected a squad that seemed in parts to be selected to appease the media.
It's neither fish nor fowl.
Yeah, in a post World Cup world, I don't know if it's. I don't know. I don't know if it's up to
Nobody knows, and
Well,
good
nobody
old
knows because nobody knows how they're going to play.
Guino Vez and his, he'll be there puffing on a galwas and giving them some esoteric metaphysical shite before the game that may or may not work. It could have a spectacular effect. It might turn them back into old France and make them
He
eat
has
everyone.
said that's what he
Or it
wants.
could turn them into not quite so old, maybe 2 years ago, Toulouse.
Exactly. So we don't know.
Bernard Jackman again on Against the Head was quite dismissive of them,
Was
and particularly of Noves.
it? Well, we'll see. We'll see.
I mean, I said earlier that the Fofana had dropped out, had to drop out. I mean, they've replaced him with Teddy Thomas, which kind of tells you where French rugby is at the moment.
Yeah, he's a good winger, but
Yeah.
he's not a centre.
No.
But they've dropped Bastro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that was probably a good idea because they've
Yeah.
got other guys who are,
They've Jonathan Dante's into the squad.
that's the lad, San Francais, and
Yeah.
he's as powerful
He's a good
nearly,
player.
but he
But fit and,
doesn't have
intelligent
hands like tits.
and
which is an
focused on
advantage.
the match and not on the half-time refreshments.
Cup of tea.
So then I suppose that brings us on to the two underdogs, the Italians and the Scots.
The teams in blue,
Mm.
the other teams in blue.
Conor O'Shea's Italy are looking a bit purposeless. It's hard to see them doing very well in their their lame duck coach in his last tournament. It's where are they going to get anything from really? I mean, they might upset one of the teams, they might get a win, but that's about as far. They're probably the only team you can say are definitely not going to win the Six Nations. Any other team, okay, Scotland are possibly not likely to win it, but Italy are definitely not going to win it.
Italy, I don't see them doing anything at all. Scotland have the players have the players
If they
to
keep
cause
them
an
all
upset,
fit.
and if they keep them all fit, the problem is that none of them are playing well.
No. But I don't know what the run. I presume Scotland are starting first up with England at home. So if they capitalise on what might be an experimental England team with a brand new coach, you just never know. They could turn them over,
especially
in
after
Murrayfield.
their unlucky defeat in the World Cup.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if that game has contributed to the malaise over at Glasgow this year, because so many of their players are involved, and
Undoubtedly, it has.
the psychological effects of that game, because they were it was tough going.
Yeah, I think a lot. I think they're kind of affected by the World Cup just as we are. That their bodies were just geared to peak at a certain time, and then they're on holidays for those 3 weeks, like the Irish were, and then they come back and have to start at the bottom of the ladder again, even though it was going into the European matches. And you know what I mean? You're probably mentally and physically geared to peak again in February for the Six Nations. And because there's so many coming from one or two clubs, like say for instance Northampton, when we played them the Wasps, it was 3 of those players playing in the World Cups.
I think the other difference we say comparing Ireland and Scotland, like I say, similar situation with you would say 15 to 17 players coming out of the same club. Ireland went out beaten fair and square. There's no the only baggage is the baggage of a defeat, which most lads are used to filing away and dealing with. Scotland went out in controversial circumstances.
Shall we say?
And that's a different thing. That's a different matter. There's always a what if about that.
Actually, the main controversy about it was how much the referee needed a piss afterwards. He had to run off to the check straight away.
But there was also what it did kind of
Craig
do.
Joubert,
It's a
wasn't
good
it?
thing he wasn't in Shannon.
What it also kind of did though, it sort of reinvigorated rugby in Scotland, because those matches were played on purpose, I presume, in kind of Newcastle, not too far away from the Scottish border, and thousands of people came down for those matches. Whereas even you get emails from the SRU that there's tickets available for practically every match, bar possibly England up in Murrayfield for the Six Nations. Whereas there was so many people had come down, like they were kind of said maybe because of Glasgow's victory the previous May in the.
There was a feel good
Played
factor.
on Ellen Road as well, didn't they?
They did, yeah. Again, up north.
Yeah.
So I would agree. I think there was. The question is how this Scotland team overcomes that. They have a wily coach in Vern Cotter. The problem for Vern Cotter is the guy who made him look good doesn't work for him anymore. He works for us. That's not really fair, but
There's an interesting way out of Joe Schmidt's conundrum for his Lions tour. Bring the band back together from Claremont 2010 and send himself and Vern Cotter off to coach the Lions in some shape or form.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be an interesting one? Both working for home nations unions. Could be. Anyway, I'm going off the point of the Six Nations.
No, it's a valid point. I mean, himself and Vern Cotter worked relatively well together. I mean,
they get on. They're
absolutely.
very
They
different.
certainly get on.
Very different personalities.
Yeah. But they did work together. It's going to be interesting to see. I can't see
Bad cop and bad cop.
bad cop, nerd cop and bad cop. I don't know. I find it. You see, there's so many, as we were saying earlier, Dick Cheney's. We have so many known unknowns in this tournament. I still think that whoever comes out better of the Wales Ireland match will win the tournament.
It's obvious thing to say, but at the start of every Six Nations, after the first weekend, there are only going to be 3 teams left who can get a Grand Slam. You'd have to think that France are going to be one of them, playing Italy, and England, Scotland. You'd probably favour England, even though it's in Scotland.
Yeah, you'd have to. Yeah.
Us and Wales are probably the one you could predict the least. I'd say Wales are possibly favourites, even though it's here. But after this weekend, it will be one of us or Wales who are left in with a chance of a Grand Slam, and one of England or Scotland. And who cares about France?
The thing about it, though, is the Championship in recent years, because the teams have come to. I mean, there were times when teams have been dominant in the past. England, France, indeed even Wales. That's not happening at the moment. The last 2 championships have been decided, actually more than that, have been decided on points difference.
Yeah.
Certainly on the final day. You've got a situation where even losing a match now isn't necessarily an inhibitor on the championship. So there's a lot of it's a whole different kind of panorama we have in front of us.
But there's kind of 4 teams that could potentially win it.
Yeah.
Whereas even say 10 years ago, there was talk of, or French and the English were, saying, can we please join the Tri-Nations, because the Six Nations just really doesn't do it for us anymore.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's doing it to them more often than not now.
Well, anyway, boys, as ever, thanks very much. Thanks again for watching. Cheers.